Joining us now to discuss, Mercedes Schlapp, former White House Strategic Comms Director, and Katie Pavlich, Fox News contributor and editor of townhall.com. Gee whiz, I hate to pick on the teachers union again. I did at the beginning of the show, but I do feel compelled to pick on the teachers union. This is a Labor Day show. Katie Pavlich, why don't they just teach? And why don't they teach traditional curriculum? Seriously, instead of ruining the minds of these young kids that are going to be the future workforce, I mean, we're doing a Labor Day show. What's wrong with these people?
Well, first, Larry, I would say that I think picking on them is far too kind. I think they need to be held accountable and they need to be disintegrated because they have ruined the futures of so many children, especially in the inner cities. But to answer your question about why the teachers aren't teaching important things like math and science and reading, it's because these teachers unions are political vehicles. They're not places where teachers are interested in the future of the country. These are the kinds of people who are on the far left who don't believe in a future labor force. They believe in the government sending out checks and having universal income. They believe in developing activists in their classrooms, which we see all the time, especially with COVID and all these Zoom videos and home teaching and parents seeing what their kids are being taught. They don't believe in necessarily a future labor force for capitalism. They believe in things like Karl Marx and Che Guevara and Chairman Mao, and that is, completely the opposite of what our system stands for in the current economic system that we have in this country.
Mercedes Schlapp, I know it's true. I know what Katie said is true. When did this start? First question, in Spolk, in this crazy left-wing critical race theory movement. And the second point, Mercedes, aren't the teachers, the public schools are losing, right? They're losing to Catholic schools, religious schools, homeschooling, and so forth. I mean, I think competition is starting to work in this, isn't it?
Well, first of all, when it started, I think you've seen the leftists always try to indoctrinate students. We know that these teachers' unions have always skewed to the left when they're endorsing mostly Democrat political candidates. They don't like this idea of school choice. Let's remember, when we're talking about school choice and educational freedoms, the ones who benefit are the blacks, the Hispanics, the low-income students. And they don't like that. They want to have ultimate control of the child. And I got to tell you something. One thing, and there's not a lot of positives that have come out of the COVID pandemic, but one thing that it did do is that it did wake up the parents. The parents started to realize, wait a second, what are they doing? What are they teaching my child? You've seen areas, for example, in the state of Virginia, Loudoun County, parents that were never politically involved showing up to the school board meetings, basically getting signatures to recall school board members and noticing for the first time that local elections matter, that state elections matter. And so it's why you're seeing the fact that instead of these teachers focusing on critical race theory, which is destructive and divides us, they should be focusing on math, on science, on reading, where we've seen a huge learning loss because of COVID, at least 6.8 months of this. And in addition to that, the social and emotional problems that we've seen our children suffer because of the COVID pandemic. That should be the priority of these teachers.
Katie, this being a Labor Day show, so I know the Biden administration is against worker choice. They want to unionize everything and do what they can through reconciliation or the National Labor Relations Board. Where is Biden and his education department on school choice? Are they any better than they are on worker choice?
Absolutely not. They're essentially the same thing. They are completely locked in by their teachers' unions. We saw this, of course, when we were trying to get teachers back to school, back to work, and they refused after a number of things were given to them to accommodate the school safety, the vaccine, and they refused to go back to school. So Dr. Jill Biden, who, of course, is a community college teacher, she is very cozy with the teachers' unions. And as Mercedes was saying, they don't want any kind kind of choice because they want a monopoly on the thoughts and the minds of our children. Because if you look at the ideology of the left and you ask where it started, from the 1960s and beyond, you know, Bill Ayers, who now is a professor, I believe, at the University of Chicago, made this argument that the state has a responsibility to take parents out of the equation so that they can indoctrinate them to be citizens of the state, not, you know, members of the community or children to their parents. So
I gotta leave it there.
It's a bigger ideological problem, but no choice.
Mercedes Schlapp, Katie Pavlich, thank you.